Hey everybody. So we just saw Swiss Army Man. Swiss Army Man starring Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. And written and directed by Daniels.
There's two guys named Daniel.
Yeah, which I thought that was pretty unique. They just called them Daniels.
And it could have been the Wachowski brothers. I mean, you can't put...
Yeah, but they're not related.
They're not related. And they're not the Wachowskis. I mean, they could be the Daniels.
The Daniels?
But it just says Daniels.
So that was interesting. We were a little confused at first, like, Daniels, what's that? Apparently they did some TV shows and shorts.
Seems like they're pretty new.
But they obviously work very well together.
Yes, very creative.
Because I love this movie.
Yes.
I really love this movie.
Really good.
Now, this first part is going to be spoiler-free. And then we'll give our impressions and talk about things, but not give away any of the story.
Do impressions? Or?
No, we're not doing... We already did our own impressions in the beginning. And then when I say spoilers, then we'll get into the spoiler stuff, talk about it a little bit more in detail. But from my impression of the story, it moved... The pacing was very, very well done. It moved along. There were no really down times.
No. Maybe a little slow, maybe at some parts, but I think it had a really good, steady movie.
Yeah, and the tone was consistent through the whole thing.
Tone was good. The directing was good.
The directing was very
creative, very creative movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see a unique storyline, you know, that's not a comic book movie or a sequel or... If you want to see something different and unique, you got to go watch this movie.
Totally.
It is original. I mean, you can't get any more original. It's so good. But Daniel Radcliffe, the acting, you know, when I first thought about it, I was like, okay, so his character is dead. You've seen the trailer. That's not a spoiler. But his character is dead. And he's acting, but he still looks dead. Like, he doesn't blink the whole time. I think Paul Dano closes his eyes once and then it opens again. But he doesn't blink, which that's got to be crazy.
Yes.
I mean, I was just trying to think about not blinking.
And it made me want to
blink.
Makes me blink more, yeah.
And then, and Paul Dano, I mean, he had to hold a lot of the movement and action of the acting that was going on in the scene because Radcliffe didn't really move.
No.
If you saw the trailer, he does talk at one point. But we'll get into that in the spoilers. And there's just a lot of weird, crazy stuff. I mean, the whole idea of the movie is Daniel Radcliffe is basically the dead human version of a Swiss Army knife. Like, he can do a whole bunch of these fantastical things.
Yes. Like
cutting wood and spitting rocks and...
Yeah, shooting things with rocks.
And allowing... turning him into a jet ski, farting across the ocean.
Of course.
Which, that alone sold me on the movie. I had to go watch it after I saw that in the trailer. I'm sold. I'm there. I don't care what the movie is. But there were no times where I thought, okay, the story needs to move.
No, it just kept going, and you're interested, you're paying attention. It's very weird and unique, and there's no point in time where you're like, this is boring.
Right. And I was laughing most of the time.
Or you're laughing the other times.
Yeah. I mean, some of the jokes, of course, are like, you know, they're childish humor, fart jokes, and dick jokes, but they...
Yeah, that was probably the only thing I really didn't like is he probably could have stepped back, done that a little bit, the writing.
But those jokes fit the movie.
The jokes do fit the movie.
It wasn't like because there's a lot of movies that do like fart jokes, and it feels like they just forced it in there because it's an easy laugh.
Yeah.
Like there was an actual reason for it.
There's reasons for the farts.
And
but from a writer's perspective, it does seem like they used it as a crutch a little bit, for a humor crutch. But I was laughing. And it was funny.
So it was okay.
So it works, but maybe a little too much.
Yeah, maybe it was used a couple of times too often, but I didn't mind.
Yeah.
I didn't mind at all. And yeah, I'm gonna rate it. I mean, well, the directing. I thought the directing was reminded me a lot of like buddy movies, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yep.
Like some of the color schemes and the way that they moved the camera, it reminded me, especially with the music.
Or kind of how they were playing with your head a little bit.
Yeah, how they played with your head.
Yeah.
So I felt Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but they really have nothing to do with each other. It's just the way that the look was.
And I thought the dialogue was my favorite part of the movie. Maybe it's because I'm a writer, but I think the dialogue was very unique. They're back and forth. I mean, he's basically talking with a corpse, so you can only imagine how strange and weird you can get with that dialogue.
Well, and the dialogue, it had sincerity, but from the point of view of someone that wasn't very eloquent.
Yeah.
And it still made sense.
Yeah.
Like, you knew what he was trying to say. And Paul Dano and Radcliffe acted those scenes very well, to where you felt what they were trying to say. But the words that came out were just weird. And you're like, oh, what?
Yeah, it was almost like he was talking to like a baby with already developed vocabulary, like that didn't know what humankind was like.
But we'll get more into that on spoilers. No, don't worry.
Okay.
No, you didn't spoil anything.
Okay.
I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. 9.5 is all. I mean, you have a hard time thinking of something that was wrong with it.
Yeah.
That's how good it was.
We'll get into this in spoilers, but there was something about the ending and maybe a couple of too many fart jokes. But other than that, that's the only negatives I could find.
I think we're really looking for something wrong with
I was looking for something because I don't think there's not very many movies out there that are 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I have a hard time giving something.
So I have a hard time doing a 10 out of 10, and if I had to look for something, it would be those.
Yes.
So 9.5 out of 10. Highly suggest you go watch the movie.
Highly agree.
I loved it. So let's do spoilers.
Spoilers. Is this in the same review here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So now everything we say is spoiler full.
So
a lot of spoilers.
Is this the same video?
Yep.
Okay.
They just have to stop it if they don't want to watch it anymore.
Okay.
So go watch the movie and come back.
Yeah, do that.
Watch the video twice. So what were your thoughts on the whole with the baby mind that you were saying?
Well, I thought that the dialogue was very unique. It was almost like Paul Dano's character was speaking with like a baby with already a fully developed vocabulary. It was very existential.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of self-discovery and a lot of dialogue about life and the basics of life, why we live.
The very simple things, too.
Very simple things, why we do what we do.
Like, why is farting embarrassing?
Yeah, why should we be embarrassed when we fart? It's silly that everybody gets embarrassed, like in a public place. It is.
Yeah, or why do people masturbate?
Yeah. Or why do we have Freudian slips when we masturbate?
Freudian slips. Why is this picture of this lady making me feel funny downstairs? Like, it was...
Why do we like riding on a bus and looking out a window?
Looking out a window.
It's just something we like to do.
But, yeah, so he's... Basically, Radcliffe's character starts talking, and throughout the movie is getting more and more powers.
I mean, imagine speaking with a corpse. Like, the next step, like if a corpse could speak, it would be very dumb.
Right. It wouldn't know what was going on. It's like their brain got wiped.
I mean, really, the only thing they know is how to speak, I suppose, if they're speaking.
Right.
So, it's almost...
Just like the Scarecrow said in The Wizard of Oz. I know a lot of people that talk a lot that have no brains. And but basically the Swiss Army Man, you know, he gets all of he discovers these powers. Like the first one was the water, the fact that he was full of water, and so clean water that he could drink, and then he started being able to talk.
That is weird.
And then
it just gushes out. Too.
Yeah, it just gushes out.
Like a fire hydrant.
You know, the fact that he can ride him like a jet ski while he's farting across the ocean, pulling on a rope on his stomach to like increase the power. At one point they stick the like a spear down his throat, and he pushes down on his shoulders and uses him like a launcher, and then he finds he can launch anything, so he'll put like rocks in his mouth and use them like a gun to kill animals.
Oh yeah, that was funny. I was laughing pretty much throughout. It was a funny movie.
It was, and the guys behind us loved it.
Everybody
too.
in the theater was laughing at the right parts. I think it's just meant to be fun, also.
Yeah.
Serious. I mean, it's supposed to make light of serious thoughts.
Well, and they are like talking about some serious issues, things like, you know, humans do feel the need to talk and interact with other humans.
Yes.
If you're alone for too long, you will go crazy.
You'll start talking to dead bodies.
You'll start talking to dead bodies
or volleyballs
and using their dick as a compass.
Of course, that makes sense.
It does. Why not? But by the end of the movie, you really care about these two characters and how they interact with each other. And his character becomes more and more animated. He actually starts moving at one point.
Yeah, in the final climax, he's moving. That's the climax of the movie.
Saves him from the bear.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Uses his fart powers.
But like a great example about how the dialogue was great but still weird at the same time. And I think the overall tone of this movie is weird is okay.
Weird is alright.
Weird is not a bad thing.
And I think it goes along with the existential thing. You can do weird things. It should be okay.
Yeah, it should be okay.
Just to be weird.
Something that is considered weird is fine.
Should be just fine, yeah.
But you have this bear is dragging Paul Dano away slowly, and he's talking to Radcliffe, and Radcliffe's like, well, I guess you're gonna go die now? He's like, yeah, looks like I'm gonna die. So you're gonna shit yourself? Because that was a big thing that they talked about. When you die, you shit yourself. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna shit myself. And then they have the dramatic music playing, and it's like the moment that you would have like the goodbye scene from Casablanca, or you know, the kind of I'll see you in the next life kind of discussion, but they framed it in such a weird way. It was like, well, maybe after I shit myself, some of my shit will mix with other people's shit, and your shit could mix with their shit, and one day our shit could find each other, and we can be together finally.
That's disgusting, dude.
Yeah, and Radcliffe's like, that's disgusting, dude. But it made perfect sense in the movie.
Yeah.
And
I just think the people who are writing it and making it, the Daniels, they were having fun while they were writing it. And then the actors, it looked like the actors had fun while they were making it. It's just a fun movie.
Well, and you were telling me Radcliffe was, in an interview, said that the hardest part was not blinking.
Yeah, like Dano's spouting out all these great lines and doing all this great acting, but he was worried, like, if he just blinked in that same scene after he's spouting all these great lines, that he would ruin it.
Right, he could ruin a cut just by blinking.
Just by blinking.
Which is crazy to think.
That would be... there's a lot of pressure even on Radcliffe. Just thinking about, like we said, just thinking about blinking makes you want to blink. It's like, don't think about an elephant right now.
Right.
You're gonna think about an elephant. Yeah.
Or, and, Radcliffe doesn't seem to mind showing his bare farting ass.
No, it's
awesome.
For the ladies, you get to see his nice hairy ass in this movie.
And while it's farting.
While it's farting.
I give a lot of props to both these guys because they went all out.
Yeah.
And it looked like they had a lot of fun.
I think it's the most experimental role for Radcliffe. Like, you know, he was a bad actor during the Harry Potter movies.
Because he was a kid.
He was figuring out acting on screen. And then, you know, he's getting all these different roles. And then now I think the reason why he probably took the role is just to do some kind of different acting. And he's doing a lot of physical acting as well as verbal acting.
Yeah. Because this one was very physically demanding.
Yeah.
Because some of the scenes that really surprised me about his acting in this was he's dead and he's not moving, he's not blinking, but he's still talking, and his body is physically reacting in ways that it would as if it was dead, like falling over. You know, he's not bracing himself.
Yeah, his body's somewhere else while he's saying other things.
Yeah, so I was really impressed.
His mind was in two places at one time.
Yeah, I was very impressed with how he pulled that off. And the end of the movie...
And Paul Dano was great, too.
Yeah, Paul Dano
was great. He's just playing this crazy guy, saying all these crazy things, and he's very erratic, and...
He looked like he was having a blast.
It looked like both of them were having fun.
Yeah, and you can feel that through the movie, that they wanted to be there and they had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, they were totally into this movie.
And I really like movies where you can feel the actors had fun.
Yeah.
Because I felt that for Central Intelligence. I thought even though the movie was
mediocre.
It was a little better than mediocre, but it was really funny. I laughed the whole time. They didn't use any like gross jokes like a lot of comedies do. But you could tell that The Rock and Kevin Hart were having a lot of fun doing the movie. And it same with this one. It feeds into itself, and you can really see it. Because like when you see actors and actresses that are supposed to have chemistry and they don't, you can tell.
Yeah.
You can really tell that they don't have chemistry.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, one of the, I guess, kind of negatives was through the whole movie you're thinking that it's all in his head.
Yeah, he's just he's
hallucinating the whole thing. And then at the end of the movie... I like
it. It's a good ending, though. Like,
it is a good ending.
It's a good ending, but it's not a realistic ending.
Right, because at the end, Radcliffe basically starts moving again and farting, gets in the water, and it's basically him fart jet skiing from his back with a huge smile on his face into the sunset. And then the lady sums up the whole movie by going, what the fuck?
The end. It's like, yes.
But there's two ways that you could end this movie. You could end it this way.
Yeah, which is funny and creative and a little tongue-in-cheek.
Right, and changes it from, like, a reality to a fantasy.
Yeah, it makes it a fantasy, yeah.
But if you kept it more of a realistic ending, then he would just get arrested and put in a funny farm.
It's not.
And that's like a sad ending to such a fun movie.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to end it with a fun ending.
Yeah, a little tongue-in-cheek at the end there.
Just to keep your tone
I think
stable.
the ending's great.
Yeah.
But it does change it from a reality to a fantasy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we're still, like we said, searching for something wrong with it when we say that.
Yeah, it's like...
It's barely wrong.
It's barely wrong. Because it's...
Or it's good, but barely not.
Well, if you kept it realistic, the tone of the ending would not match the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and the ending wouldn't be that good.
So it would be more realistic, but then you're like, well, you know, because then it doesn't end on a good note. And this ending, it changes it, makes it a little more fantastical, but you keep your tone of fun through the whole movie.
And you leave the theater laughing.
Yeah. I mean, you're...
We're still laughing.
Yeah, we're still laughing about it because that lady summed up the whole movie. What the fuck?
What the fuck? It's really one of her, like, she has like 5 lines in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And that's her last line.
What the
The lady from Cloverfield. The new Cloverfield.
Yeah, she's in the
new Mercy
Cloverfield.
Street.
Yep. The end.
The end.
Farting Daniel Radcliffe going off
smiling
into the sunset.
Farting off into the sunset.
Jet skiing off into the sunset. Well, do you have any other thoughts on this?
We were going to say about A24, the production.
Oh, company. Yeah. So A24 produced this movie. Last year they did Ex Machina,
which is awesome.
Yeah, it was great. There were also a few...
This movie's awesome. Ex Machina is awesome. And then they had a string of good indie movies.
Yeah, there's other indie movies. There was another Oscar Isaacs movie, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. But the one where he's like the shipping mogul, or trying to get higher up. It was like in the 70s or 80s.
A Most Violent Year.
Yes, A Most Violent Year.
Yeah, it was straight. I don't know if it was a straight to video or something, but it was still really good.
That was really good. And then that Liam Hemsworth movie where he like faked a murder. That was named after the town, and it had a weird name. I can't remember the name of the town.
I'm looking it up. It might take too long.
But then, A24, they're coming out with so many unique scripts, original stories.
Oh no, it's called Cut Bank.
Cut Bank, yeah. Cut Bank. That was the Liam Hemsworth.
I mean, they're not; those two aren't amazing, but they're good.
Right.
I think A Most Violent Year is better than Cut Bank.
Yeah.
But they're both
Ex Machina
worth the rent.
And
Ex Machina is really good, and Swiss Army Man's really good.
So it seems so far, it's like every year they're coming out with a great movie.
And I think they're both risky movies.
All of them are risky because they're original movies. Yeah. And so now we're to the point where if you just say A24, we're going to go watch the movie.
Yeah, you say A24, I'm there.
Yeah. And he was saying when we were younger, like in the early 2000s and late 90s, when I wanted to convince him to watch a movie, I would just say Lionsgate.
I'd be like, no, you'd be like, dude, there's this in there. There's this person in there. There's this director. And I'd be like, I don't know, dude. And then you'd be like, oh, it's produced by
Lionsgate.
Its production company is Lionsgate. I'd be like, I'm there, dude. Let's go.
And in the 80s and 90s, it was New Line Cinema.
Yeah, maybe more for you because you were older.
For me, they had all.
For you were older, I didn't really understand what that stuff was.
But today it's now A24.
Yeah, I think that's my new favorite. It's a production company or a release company. What is it?
I think it's a
distribution company or
it might be a distributor, but it might be a producer. I need to look them up.
Yeah, we should look them up. We should
I'm just gonna look up
before we talked about them.
I'm just gonna look up A24 and maybe like their page and see whatever comes out next.
Yeah, whatever they make next.
I'm just gonna follow whatever it is that they make.
Yeah,
because I haven't seen a bad A24 movie yet.
No,
we watched like 5 in the past year.
Yeah, I liked them all. I really liked Ex Machina, and I really liked this movie. 2 movies in a row that were released in the theaters.
Yeah.
It's not a complete wide release.
But you can get to it pretty locally.
It's a lot of theaters. So you can, if you can't see it in your city, you can see it in the next town.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We went to Boulder and we saw it fine.
Yeah.
So, in a time right now where I do love my action movies, I love my comic book movies, I like my sci-fis and the fantasies, and I even like some of the sequels, a lot of the sequels.
Yeah, I'm a little bit harsher. I don't like those as much as you do.
But even though I like those movies, I still want original movies.
Yeah. I think I crave for more original movies than you do.
But we're not getting original movies anymore.
No, that's all you're getting. With the major releases, that's all you're getting. But
now with A24, we're getting original movies again. Yeah. And some of the bigger ones this year were original, like The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys?
The Nice Guys was original.
Free State of Jones.
Free State of Jones. So we're getting a couple of unique, good movies.
Different movies.
But I'm going to follow A24 from now on. So, if you want, you can support me on Patreon here. I got some icons for my social medias here. And then over here above his head is my mailbox. You can mail me stuff.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. But like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. And I will see you on the next video.